I shot one again in the Kettle River Liquor Store. Yeah. That's where I get all my deer.
Trying to kick you into Cromwell?
No, I didn't get that far. I shot some more there, too.
I better start this meeting. Steve? I'd like to welcome everyone to the Moose Lake regular City Council meeting for Wednesday, November 8th. And I'd like to start with a pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everyone tonight, and the next agenda item is the agenda. Do we have any changes or additions to the agenda? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 2, consent agenda. 2A, we have the minutes for the October 11th, 2017 City Council meeting minutes. Number 2 is the October 23rd, 2017 Special City Council and Joint Water and Light meeting minutes. Any questions or discussion on the consent agenda minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So
Have a
second.
second?
So second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Under number 2, consent agenda number, this would be B, financial reports. Number 1 is the city accounts payable for November 2017. Number 2 is the city financial statements for October 2017. And number 3 is the liquor store profit and loss statements for October 2017. Are there any questions or discussion on the financial reports? Hearing none, do we have a motion to accept the financial reports?
So moved.
A
Second.
second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 3, public comment. This time reserved for comments from the public on matters not listed on the agenda. Please keep comments to 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name's Nate Houston. You guys probably remember me from a couple months ago when we had the unfair and illegal land taken behind my property there. I just wanted to ask the City Council tonight about the 3rd Street project, which I think is great. It looks great out there. The pavement's great. I have one question, and my question is, why was my driveway eliminated, and why is my land flooding now?
Any answers? We may want to talk with our city engineer first before we answer that, because they're not aware of any flooding.
Okay. That would be great.
Yeah.
Did you come to the city at all, or you just came to the city council tonight to?
Oh, no, I came to the city prior to this and talked with Tip about this and...
For the driveway.
For the driveway. The flooding, I just noticed that was in the last few days here.
Okay.
Part of the sidewalk where the water used to run was out where the sidewalk is now, which is great because pedestrians now have something to walk on. However, it's also impacted the property there. It's made an ice rink, so...
Okay.
But the driveway, the missing driveway, I'd love to know why that was eliminated from the piece of property there, especially since, when I turned in my building permit that wasn't up to snuff, it clearly showed the intent that I had of placing a building at the rear of the property. So that's my question was, who made that determination, and was there any kind of consideration for the value that I had with the property? So,
Okay, let us
Thank you.
look into that, and we'll get back to you on that. And maybe we have Steve look at where it's freezing out there next to the property. Is it right along the sidewalk, or is it towards the building?
it's right alongside. there's kind of a hump of mound land in that.
Okay. Thank you. Do you have any other comments from the public at this time? Hearing none, we'll move on to Department's Report number 4. 4A is the Police Chief Department Report for October 7th through November 3rd.
Mayor, council members. Another busy month. A couple of things to highlight this month. We did some mandatory training. We have mandatory training days twice a year, spring and fall, where we do shoot all of our firearms and qualify with handgun, rifle, and shotgun. We also had taser training, which we do annually, as well as firearms training simulator, which they actually bring a big screen and a computer animated program, and it just to kind of show us different scenarios, shoot, don't shoot type of situations. So that was very good training.
Is that the one that Tim flunked?
Yes. But he wouldn't stick around for taser training because I told him he had to get tased. But Halloween went well. There was a lot of people went to the trunk or treat down at the city park. Is very well attended, and I gave out a ton of stickers to kids, and it was nice to see. Very very chilly night, but it went well. Still a lot of methamphetamine activity in town. Just give you an example, last week we had a call of a car doing donut spins in Marketplace Foods parking lot. The officers stopped the individual and found that she had 3 grams of methamphetamine and a loaded .40 caliber pistol on the front seat. So I mean that's kind of the items that we're dealing with in Little Moose Lake. It's a problem with being right on the interstate. It brings in a lot of crazy activity. And best that we could ascertain, it was just kind of in the middle of the 2 casinos and kind of going, floating back and forth, and selling drugs and whatnot. So it's...
Was she from around here or?
No, she was from south of the cities. Yeah. So, but we continue to actively work on several methamphetamine cases. So we're doing our best to keep a handle on it. So that's about all I have. So
Very good. Any questions from the council?
Thank you.
Yeah, so you see you had 141 calls for the month and a lot of activity. Thank you very much, Bryce.
All we did is get drunk.
Back in the day.
I'd like Scott Deline, come on up here, please, just for a second. You don't have to talk. So as we all know, in the last year and a half, our department has went through a big change in dynamics. We lost a longtime employee. Some people moved up to different positions. One of Scott's was to obtain his water and wastewater certifications, which he has now done. So at this time, I would like to personally thank Scott and congratulate him on his hard work and dedication he has put into achieving his Minnesota Department of Health Water System Supply Operator Class D license that he has completed in March. In addition, I would also like to extend my congratulations to him for achieving his Minnesota Pollution Control Agency Wastewater Treatment Collection Facility Operator Class D license as well, which he completed in October 2017. So Scott, congratulations and thank you for all your hard work and dedication to the city of Moose Lake. So thank you. Okay, so the water department, hydrants were flushed at the beginning of October. That's all taken care of, ready to go. Pumped 4.8 million gallons of drinking water. Sewer department, we collected just about 18 million gallons of wastewater. we're starting our second discharge at the wastewater facility right now, which is, that's about 40 million gallons of wastewater. So we're going through all the testing and sampling for that. The last meeting I mentioned, the 18th of October, we actually hosted a Minnesota Rural Water training, which was a really good event for the city of Moose Lake. It was really good for the local operators. Scott got to meet a lot of good people. I got to meet some people too that I didn't know. We had about 50 local operators from local cities around the area that came in and were able to sit on some of the stuff that we're doing here in Moose Lake and how we're dealing with some of the issues that other communities are dealing with as well. Other representation at that training was members from the MPCA, which they reached out to me and did say that they are very happy with what we were doing and like the progress they are seeing out of the city of Moose Lake. Minnesota Rural Water was also there, and then some members from the Minwarn program, which I think we all remember from the 2012 flood. That was an organization that we got membership into. All the snow removal equipment is ready to go. Did have a couple dry runs on it. Had some breakdowns, but I think we got all the kinks worked out. Salt was purchased last week through our MnDOT bid, or through our state bid. We ordered 75 tons of salt that's stored at the MnDOT garage, which we come in and take and choose whenever we want, whenever we need to. We just come wheeling in there and load up and go. That seems to be working really, really well. Other than that, this last week we finished up some stormwater issues, some drainage issues, ditching, a couple culverts, and now we're pretty much just ready for winter. Whether anybody wants it or not, we're ready. So that's what I have.
Any questions?
Yeah.
What happened on, going up to McDonald's on our new road right in the middle of the, looked like a manhole or something?
Yep.
What happened?
So it didn't blow up. So what they do, and you've noticed, you can see it out here on 73 all the way up to the top of the hill. They pave over the manholes, and then they come in and they call it, it's either a Mr. Manhole or a Magic Manhole. They call it two different things. And what they do is they GPS the manhole itself. And what they do is they pretty much take a huge core drill and drill the blacktop off the manhole, and they raise it up to grade and pour concrete in there. It makes it easier to adjust later on. For us, if you have any issues with the road suddenly at all, it makes us a lot easier to chip out and adjust the manhole according to grade and so on and so forth. So that's what they were doing up there.
Okay.
Yep.
Are they going to be doing that, raising the manhole on the corner of Lakeshore and First?
Lakeshore and
Right
First.
on our corner there?
Oh.
There's the manhole's down. And I see they've been putting stuff around it.
That was a storm sewer manhole that was actually buried that we just found. But yeah, we can get that raised. That is not on the list to get raised up, but these were just manholes that are on Highway 73. So
Yeah,
it's a pretty good job.
yeah.
Okay, sure, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to 4C, City Engineer.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Workhorse got placed last Friday on 3rd and Kenwood. Kenwood's in pretty good shape as far as restoration being done. 3rd still has some work to do. We have not done the punch list yet. Northland had kind of a big list of just obvious work that they needed to do, and then Jen will be back up to generate the punch list. And we'll look at that too. I got up here, it was dark already tonight, but we'll take a look at what's going on there. It should drain fine when we get all done, so. It will. So. Was there any questions from the council on 3rd or Kenwood or anything else?
It's just something that we'll talk about after.
Mayor, I had a question. When we did the pumping station down on Earl Allen's Drive there, are we going to re-blacktop that?
I gave Brian Golden the name of 3 different paving companies that I thought he could get a quote from, but that was later. It was like this fall, and I know getting Northland to come and do the work that they were under contract to do was pretty difficult. They wouldn't take Earl Ellen's on. They said it was And that was really an easy stretch of paving to do. I thought they might do it because it's two poles
Okay.
from Public Works on out, and they were coming right by there anyways, but they absolutely did not want to take on more work, so.
Understand. Okay.
But I know Brian has it on his list to get paved yet, so.
Good.
Good.
That's it.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
4D, Chamber of Commerce updates.
Yes.
Tia.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and members of the council. My apologies, first of all, my name is Tia Gorkeski. I'm the president of the Moose Lake Area Chamber of Commerce. My apologies are for not addressing the council sooner, but the second Wednesday of the month is an incredibly popular night for meetings, so and I get stretched a little thin, but I was able to rearrange things and be here tonight, so. Just a couple of things to update you on. Our conversations at the Chamber are continuing. We've had conversations about the different events that the Chamber puts on and that happen in the surrounding area. Part of the reason for that discussion really is we have everything happens in July, and our members get a little burnt out. You all know if you're busy, you're super busy because you're willing to do a lot. So we started the conversation about can we make some of those things happen at different times of the year and still accomplish what our goals are, which led into strategic planning, which we've been working on now for the last month, and we just consequently concluded that this afternoon. So we will have a written report which we can get to the city, and we'll talk about it tomorrow if you're going to be at the chamber meeting. But one of the highlights, or one of the things that came out of the strategic planning, is really economic development in the area. Hence my application to be on the Development Authority. The chamber feels strongly that we'd like to have a presence on that in that area. As far as, I'm not sure what you normally update on for the chamber, but I mean, our budget is looking very good. We're considering adding additional staff to the chamber just because of the added activities. We're also looking at having activities in the wintertime. Right now, we're looking at an activity in January or February, ice bocce, that will happen down in front of the brewery. It's a combination of bocce ball and little hockey, little curling, but it's going to be a fun event. And what we're doing, rather than having it be chamber-specific, is we're trying to kind of bring the communities together, and the proceeds of it are going to benefit the 3 area post-proms, so Willow River, Moose Lake, and Barnum. And they have all of those different committees have agreed to participate in it. But the goal of it is to bring some sort of activity to town in the winter. And we all know, in this area, there just is not a lot that happens in the winter. So that part of that came about with the strategic planning also. The only other thing that I would mention is we have our annual meeting coming up on January 13th. You all are welcome to attend. That will be held up at the Sioux Line Event Center. We are going to try this year, one of the other things that came out of our strategic planning is really trying to engage our members more, our business members and individual members. So we're going to have a big drive and a push to try to get as many people to the annual meeting as possible. It's actually fairly fun. It's not a bad night out if you're looking for something to do in the middle of January. So I don't think I have anything else. Lois, would you add anything?
Well, a Santa visit on December 9th.
Santa visit on December 9th. My apologies. So.
There's going to be the used to be called the tractor parade, or is it now it's something lights?
Parade of Lights.
Will that happen that night also?
I haven't heard anything about that. I don't know. Maybe
Okay.
it'll be announced, the chamber is just to send out information and put it in the paper too.
Sure. Very good.
Any questions?
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time. I apologize, I do have to leave and go to another.
Understand.
I am going to jump down to the next item, if you want to just spend a minute, because it's farther down, and I thought it would since there's a few members here. If you go down to 6E, Economic Development Authority members, we do have 2 people that have volunteered, Tia being one, and Steve, who is here, also has put in a letter.
We have a third one as well.
Third one also?
Yvonne, and then also Terry Colmy.
So we have 4.
We have 4. And we have 3 open spots. So do you have anything that you want to add to your letter?
I guess probably nothing more other than what I stated before. It's really, I would be representing the chamber, not necessarily myself individually, although I, clearly having a business here in Moose Lake, I am concerned. But the chamber represents the businesses in the area. I really think that the businesses should have a seat at that table, or at least have some representation or a voice. And, anything we can do to help. It is part of, again, the chamber's strategic plan to have some economic development, business development, housing, all of those different things we talked about extensively during our planning session. So I would, be happy to represent them, and I really would like that the chamber have a voice on that board. Sure. Committee or,
Very good.
I'm not sure what you're calling it. So.
An authority. I'm not sure if you want to have Steve say a few words as well.
Yeah, Steve, if you have some time, come on up and introduce yourself. We'd love to hear from you.
I'm Steve Olson. I've lived in the area now, if you count both times, 30 years. But I was gone for 20 in the middle, but I've been back here 17 years, and I live in Moose Lake now. I'm currently president of the Historical Society and a member of a few other groups in town, and I am real interested in economic development in Moose Lake. I think we have to do things to get the economy moving, get more business into town, and make it more of a business destination for people so you don't have to go out of town to get what you need. And hopefully I can help out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yvonne is not here, but her and I have had quite a few conversations about the Economic Development Authority and her interest to be a part of it. I would certainly recommend Yvonne be a part of that. I don't know who Terry is. I'm not familiar.
On page 41 is her work experience and so forth.
I mean, she might be great. I'm just not familiar with who she is.
I guess being a council for council discussion and
Well, how many
motion
are supposed to be on?
fill the 3 positions.
Three?
There are 3 positions?
There's 3 open, yes.
3 open.
3 open.
Who's already on it?
Doug and somebody else from the council. I'm not sure if it was the mayor.
Well, I think you did, didn't you?
Am I? I don't know.
Well, maybe you volunteered
I
that night.
volunteered, yeah.
And it's-
But I never heard if I was on or not.
What's that?
I'm on there.
Yeah, so it's the 2 of you. And then we have 3 open spots.
I mean, I'd welcome as many people as I'd like to get involved. That's my thoughts on it, because
I'm going to go to the meetings, but I won't be able to vote. But I'd like to go to the meetings as part of the,
well,
as
we'd
the
really like to
mayor,
have you so we could at least,
and,
Yeah.
but not as a voting member. I think the discussion would be really good, interesting to hear it all.
To me, I just think the purpose of it is to be, have some diversity as well. I think that whenever you get people that have been in a community for umpteen years, I think that you stifle yourself. I think outside people can bring some fresh knowledge and some fresh ideas as well. So.
And Mayor, in the beginning, I encouraged business to be a part of this, because, they know what's going on more than we do in town, in some cases, and this is a good thing.
So we have 4 individuals, and we're going to make a motion on 3 new members.
I don't.
Or if you need time to review the information and ask questions, you can table it till next meeting.
The only thing that I would suggest is that you don't approve all four. Not that at the beginning that it would, or we won't have many contested votes, I'm sure, but eventually, I'm sure a TIF district or a tax abatement will come up, and there will need to be an odd number of members.
Well, my only thing about not, or about voting tonight is we have two members that weren't here. I guess, granted, they did have the opportunity to come, but I don't think anything was made public to them that they could come here and speak, so I think we should give them an opportunity next month to come, since we've heard from two people tonight, and then make that decision next month.
Sure.
That'd be my recommendation.
Have consensus by the council?
So agreed.
All right, so that's consensus. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
So we'll need to get a message to the other two individuals to talk to the council. Moving back up to number 5, previously discussed items. 5A is arena project updates.
I believe the new Olympia ice resurfacer has been pushed back again to roughly December 15th. We'll need to keep an eye on that. The grant ends December 31st, so we're getting closer and closer to needing to submit for reimbursement for that.
That much demand, huh? Anything else on the project updates? Everything else is done, right? It's all completed that we originally had put in for the Mighty Ducks grant money.
As far as the arena, everything else in the arena is done. If you drive by, the guardrail got put up in the front and along the north side of it. I don't think we're going to get the gardens in this year. Probably spring of next year, there will be gardens put in behind that front guardrail. So you'll see from the highway on both sides there. There'll be nice gardens there.
Very good, thank you. 5B, Highway 73 update. I think Steve kind of mentioned some of the stuff. It sounds like we're...
That's kind of the same as 3rd and Kenwood. They just have some cleanup stuff. Some signs need to go up. Most of the barricades have been put up. They are raising manholes for that as well. But next spring, they will need to come back and finish up, I believe, 2 entrances need to be redone. But other than that, I think they're mostly done.
Probably some painting, too.
I think, yeah, there's some striping left. We did get the water tap for, was Thrifty last? The water tap for Thrifty got done, and then the concrete people came out and filled where they had tore out. So both of the new businesses down there have water and no patches.
Got sewer lines too?
Yep, both of them have sewer. One of them needed to add a new line going towards the gas station, which was why there was some digging there, and there's new pavement there as well. But, yeah.
We still have, excuse me, go ahead,
I
Chris.
do have to mention that some of their measurements for the entrances and into some of the businesses have become rather small. Just say that. It's sometimes hard to...
I guess I would say anybody that thinks that there's something that's incorrect, we can get them the project supervisor's phone number, and they can. I don't really have a set of plans, nor would I know how to read and.
I don't know if it's incorrect. I'm just saying, when they're choosing to narrow some, it's
Okay.
like when you're sitting to come out and the car's coming in, it's almost like you have to pull out completely. It's just
Tighter.
It's very tight in some spots.
Okay.
Mayor, the other thing of the project that I had a problem with is right out here in the intersection where people are coming down 73, the trucks, they're going to be driving on the sidewalk with the rear wheels. Every truck I've seen turn there has done that. and they should have known that that's going to be an issue. I don't understand that one.
Well, that's kind of where I was going with the smaller exits and entrances into some of the businesses that you could see people are,
Their approaches are
are
smart.
coming out onto the sidewalk because it's much narrower.
We can talk to those things about the state, and it'll be up to them whether they change anything or not. It's kind of iffy if they will. It's
If you're a pedestrian, you're on the sidewalk, you may get hit. So, is what I'm saying. If you're,
yeah. Well, definitely, when we get a hold of the state people, we should have a meeting at some time. I hope you can come and express those things to them, because it has been very hard to work with them and making any changes. They did relent on some of it, but a lot of it they wouldn't change.
Our weekly meetings on Tuesday are at least going on for one more week, I know. So if anybody's interested in voicing any of their concerns from the public, Tuesday, 1 o'clock in the conference room.
in the cities.
There still is under warranty, correct, Steve?
That's not Steve's project, but I'm sure that it is.
Well, I thought they had to contact a little bit with the city engineer, none?
I wouldn't think so, that they have their own engineers.
They totally do it themselves.
Oh, yeah.
So their warranty that they have will kind of be like what we had, at minimum a year.
Yep.
Because things will happen out there. I know they will. There'll be
And they're already,
frost will push up.
yeah, there will be items that they already know that they need to come back for, so.
Yeah.
Now they gotta dig up a new street somewhere.
Unfortunately, things happen every winter. Thank you. We have those two items mentioned that we had talked to them about on Tuesday.
Sure.
5C Moose Lake City / Township Consolidation.
We received our first draft of the tax study. There were some questions that Northland Securities wanted us to help finalize this study. Once we get that, we'll have a final draft and we can look at setting a public hearing. I think everything that we were hoping to see in the study was included. I think it was a pretty positive meeting. You were there. I don't know if you had any thoughts on it as well.
A lot of information that has not been looked at before. A lot of talk about consolidation for years, as long as I can remember. 50 years back and forth about at different times about consolidation, but to me this is the first real study to look at what are the effects to the township, what are the effects to the city, how are taxes affected, and other things. So it's a whole report. It's more comprehensive, I think, than anything that's ever been looked at or done before. So it should be as much information and interesting to the township as it is to us. So it should be interesting. Any other questions? Moving on to 6, new business. 6A, water and light rate increase update. I had sent a message to Kurt, if he could be here tonight, to speak to the council on the rate increase. I don't know if Harlan is going to do that, or you're going to, Mike?
Yeah, Mike.
Mike is our city council rep.
Mayor Council, they had a public meeting on the rates, and there's good attendance, and there's some concerns. I think they addressed them pretty well from what I understand, and I think there's a lot more understanding, of it was a good meeting. So,
Council have questions?
I think the majority of the people that were at that meeting was against the 25%.
I think that's what I heard also.
Basically, everybody there would have liked to see what else could have been done. I mean, Michael, you were missing, so you missed a lot of intake that people were looking for you.
And this is what I got from Kurt and from Harland.
Mr. City Administrator, we did have that joint meeting, and there was going to be some discussion between you and the Water Light Commission. Did that take place? And they were going to take into your expertise on finances. Did that ever happen?
So my understanding is that we gave the option that they could just as easily hire a financial advisor. So did we have some brief conversations? Sure. Did we go extensively into some of the things that we talked about at our joint meeting with bonding for all of the capital projects, different rate increases over 3 years, 5 years, 2 years, whatever? No, we didn't go farther. But one of the things that I guess I was hoping that we had got across and thought that we got across was presenting those options to the public. So one of the things that we talked about in the joint meeting was that if 25% is the only feasible option, lay out 4 or 5 different options and show why it's the only feasible option. If bonding is not going to work, why? And I guess none of that was at the meeting. There were no options. I think one person asked whether this was a public hearing or was this already done. And the answer was quite simply that this is already done, which is kind of the second thing that we talked about at the joint meeting was a public hearing for a 25% rate increase seems pretty understandable.
Well, I know the card that was mailed to us didn't even mention that it was 25%, so I don't know if the community got the information they needed about the meeting. It wasn't a public hearing either, it was called
They didn't know
information.
it. If you talked to them about it, they had no idea that there was going to be 25%. But the people that I told could not quite understand why 25.
Mayor, the increase is based on our rate studies that have been done in the past, so we've already, paid for them. It has nothing to do with bonding. It's on our rate studies and what our costs are. The bonding is a separate issue altogether. That's, we're looking at putting in that new generator and upgrading to natural gas. The key thing is a lot of people don't understand is that we're, even at our 25% increase, we're still lower than all of our competitors that are close by. So you're still getting the best bang for the buck. And we just haven't been raised at all in the past that much. And that's because the board's decided not to do that and save people money, and so we're lucky to have them doing those good jobs. But now is the time we need to really look at it and get financially sound the power light.
Well, I don't think anyone questions what needs to be done, and I don't think anyone disagreed it on the council when we had a joint meeting. We all agree that those things have to be done, but the question was the fiscal avenue that you're choosing to go, because you could bond for 15 years for the whole thing, actually, or choose 2 million of it and bond 2 million of it for 15 years, and then look at what would be the increase. Maybe it's only 5%, 6%.
This isn't based on bonding at all. It's what we pay out for our power. So if we have to, pay, people are paying less than what we're paying for our power, it's not going to work. So we have to.
The money, when you bond, the money comes to you, Mike, so you have it whether you increase 25% or you bond, the money comes to you and then you pay that off, so you'll have the money. I don't understand what you're saying, when bonding doesn't have anything to do with it, because that's how cities operate. Like if we're going to do a big road project, let me finish. If we do a big road project, we don't increase the taxes 25% to pay for the road. We bond and then pay for it over time.
And Mayor, we are going to be doing that for our new project. So again, we're looking at the rate studies, where we are, what we're paying for our power, what we're selling our power for. And that's what it's based on.
We understand that.
There was part of the presentation in the joint meeting as well as at the informational meeting was $10 million worth of capital projects. Part of the conversation was the age of infrastructure. Part of the conversation was the new generators. Part of the conversation was transmission lines and things that, quite frankly, I don't fully understand because I'm not an electrician. But nevertheless, there was $10 million worth of projects. So if none of that is included in this 25%, why was it brought up? That's the part where we're talking about bonding. If the rest of it is just operational, if the 25% is just for operations.
It's based on our rate studies that we already paid for. Instead of having another consultant come in, we've already paid for consultants to come in and do our rate studies. And that's what we're
But that's where I think the rate studies say that you should be here right now and you're right here, and nobody can deny that.
Mm-hmm.
What we're asking is, can you get to where you should be over 3 years?
By borrowing money.
Not for that part. The borrowing money is for bonding for the $10 million worth of projects that were included in the presentation.
Again, we are going to be bonding. I don't understand. You know that. We've told you that we are going
That's $1 million out of the $10 million. That's $1 million for a $2.5 million project.
We don't know yet what we're going to bond for, so we're still there. I don't know, Harlan, if you got anything to add there?
That 25% is for operations. And we had an actuarial CPA person look at our numbers. He said the rate increase correct word is justified. There should have been raised over the years ago. There wasn't. There was political pressure to hold off on the rates. We're getting caught up to it now. The capital investments we're scheduling over the next 10 years. We've got transmission lines that need to be replaced. They're at the end of their lifespan. We're paying for what we didn't do.
Yeah, we understood that when you presented to us. We understood it fully, but there's different avenues to get to where you want to instead of doing it all in 1 year. You don't have to.
Well, the actuarian said that your rate increase is justified, and to delay any more would cause you more heartburn.
That's the part that I think is probably the most frustrating out of all of this. I'm fairly certain if we went to an accountant and said that we wanted to raise it 100% because we needed to do these 15 things, it would also be justified. We met in a joint meeting not to find out if 25% was justifiable. We all understand that it's justifiable. Your rates are this much, you get charged this much. Everyone gets that you guys are losing money. That's the easy part. We're all there. What we don't agree with is how quick the change is. Is there a way to get to where you need to be over 3 years, over 5 years, to not charge a school, which their bill is going to be enormous, who is already in the middle of their budget, 25% more. Mercy Hospital, I can't imagine how large their bill is, 25% more.
I've already talked to those two institutions and explained to them what's going on. You can't spread it anymore. We've already spread it too long, and we have to do it now. And we're still lowering what's around us. And it's been in the paper. I know this is published that in the paper.
Yeah, but they didn't know that it was 25% before that meeting that you had. That was the problem.
It was in the paper. I read that in the paper.
And your cards that you sent out, they were great, except you forgot to put on there, the rate increase is 25%. That should have been in there. That would have given the people enough information to know, was this an important meeting or not? I think that was a key thing. Great idea, because it did get to all the customers.
My experience and so on and so forth, I believe that they wouldn't have to go 25%. I'm willing to bet they could have went 10, 10, 10 and come out to the same thing in 7 years.
In 7 years?
Right.
No.
That they'll be at 25, they'll be using 25, and at 7, they'd be basically the same thing.
The actuarian.
I know what the actuary came up with, yes. The actuary was hired to come out the one way.
No, we don't have that full reign on that one.
But he came back with it's justified. Nobody's saying that it's not justified. That's the part that I'm saying. And if it takes 7 years to build up the 10, 10, and 10, and that is too much time because you're going to run out of money, you're not going to have enough money.
We're already running in the red. We have to do something.
No, you're not running in the red. You're using emergency money.
And that's not a good thing to
Well,
be
that's
doing.
not a good thing, but you're not running in the red.
It's a fine thing if in 2019, the new contract saves $500,000. That's all of the charts that were in the presentation stopped before the new contract.
The last rate study said we should do 8, 8, and 17. We didn't do that because there was political pressure to keep the rates low. We should have gone by the last rate study. But we did a 4, 4, and look at this year.
So there was a note in the presentation that in 2012 you guys were going to do an increase, and the council asked you not to.
Yeah.
Which was 5, 6 years ago now.
Mayor, we're going to be meeting on the 15th, so I'm sure that we're going to be discussing this, there, and move forth from there. With the,
Right, and I wanted this opened up tonight publicly over the channel, because to me, most of the public did not know that you were talking a 25% increase. And there are options out there to do this. You chose to do one way. That was your choice. But there are other options that could have been used, but they were never presented, and the community doesn't know about them. And to me, as a mayor and as a council, the council really has the oversight over the commission. And we have to make sure that this is known by the public. This is a responsibility of the council. And Mike is actually our representative. He doesn't represent the Power and Light on that commission. He represents the city council on the Power and Light Commission. That's his position.
He is also a voting member, Mayor.
Right, but his position as a council member is to represent the council on that commission. So to me, it's a responsibility we have to get out to the community about this 25% rate. It is supposed to take place in January. And I know that in our meeting that we have, I stated you're hitting this without, people made their budgets, some of them in July. I know the state is not part of this whole increase, which to me, I don't like either, because if they're using some of the infrastructure or the material that is used helps them get their electricity, then the citizens, to me, of the city then are helping to pay that for them. And the state, that should not have ever happened.
The state is going to get that raise too.
I was told that they were not going to get that raise in the joint meeting we had.
They're going to be delayed.
Because they're under contract, we have to negotiate the contract with them.
Right, okay, so now you have all these other, like the school district and, well, I can't say the hospital because you have the same thing with the hospital, but the school district, they made their budget and now they're going to get hit, and their budget has already been set. And this should have been really explained to them, or it should have been thought out enough last spring before they did their budget.
I know I talked to the superintendent of the school district. I told him there was a rate change coming up. So he was aware of this.
When did you do that, do you know?
In August, September.
But their budget is set in July. Okay.
Did you tell them a rate change or a 25%?
I just told him the rate change was coming. I didn't tell him what the percentage was. We still were looking at the numbers.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate that.
Sir, on item B of your agenda, the Moose Tech update.
Go ahead.
Well, we have legal counsel. We can't really talk about that one, sir.
All right.
So,
All right. Thank you. Did you have anything, Tim, on the Moose Tech update? No.
No.
Okay. One thing, before we move on from number A, your next meeting is
The 15th,
November 15th? And that is here or in the conference
in the
room
conference room.
at 4 p.m.? And I did want to ask the council, are there any other discussion or statements to the commission that you wanted passed on before we move on?
I just disagree. I just disagree with the way the situation come out.
I guess the only thing, Mr. Mayor, is I have a difference in opinion that we have direct oversight. We have enough oversight to put people into the commission when their term is up. That's the oversight that we have, and I think it's smoke and mirrors if we're telling the public that we have direct oversight. We do not. We do not make decisions on the Water and Light Commission. They're their own board. They make their decisions. And
that's the oversight I was talking about.
well,
That's it.
I would use that term loosely. And it's not to throw stones at people that aren't here. I believe personally, and this is my only opinion, that it's been misrun for a number of years. And as far as the rate change, I think you can't blame the council for something that happened in 2012, a recommendation, and say, well, they said in 2012 not to raise rates. That's crap. And I'm saying that to your face, not behind your back. That's all I have to say.
Very good. Any other comments, questions?
Pretty good, thank you.
If none, we'll move on to 6C, downtown business additions, updates.
The only update I had was about the water taps, so I think we're good with that one.
All right. Moving on to 6D, health insurance update.
Just to let you guys know, we'll be having an enrollment meeting for all the employees on Tuesday to answer any questions, sign up, all of those things. Lots of conversations going on. It's odd going from no choice to a whole lot of choices, so it's a little overwhelming, but
What time is that on Tuesday?
noon,
Noon?
yeah.
And the gentleman will be here too?
He will, yep, he'll give a presentation, then he'll go over the forms, and then he will answer questions individually. So, yep. Please don't three of you show up, and if you are going to, then just let me know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
On that date, do we need to pick our clinics, have the...
yep. Well,
I'll get you.
as soon as possible after that, but I would say yes. And you can change it, we can talk about this later too, but you can change it monthly as well. So even if you pick a wrong one.
Councilor Peterson.
Yeah. Thanks, Tim, for doing such a great job with this
I didn't
health
do it.
insurance. Yes, you did. And I think it's just the right time, the right policies out there, but yeah, this is super. We've been trying to do this for multiple years of,
That part I agree with. This is good for the city, good for the employees, it's good for everybody, so.
Great. Thank you. We already did 6E, so we'll move on to 6F, Small Cities Development Program.
On page 44, there is a letter from the Minnesota Employment and Economic Development, or Minnesota DEED. This is a monitoring report for our Small Cities Development Program, which offered low-interest loans and forgivable loans, depending upon whether you were residential, multifamily, or commercial. It was fairly successful. We didn't expend all of the grant funds that were available to us. I think the projects that got done were important and will be a benefit to the community. This report doesn't really go into that stuff so much as the technical aspect of, did we comply with everything that we needed to comply with? And as far as that goes, yes. But the project is wrapping up. So we won't be taking any more applications for this right now. We're just finishing up the projects that are out there, and then we'll be collecting on the revolving loans, and once there's kind of a little bit of a fund balance in there, that'll be another thing that we can bring forward to the Economic Development Authority to use as incentives for businesses or housing stock as well.
Thank you. Any further questions by council on 6F? Thank you, Tim.
Yep.
Moving on to G, fire hydrant replacement, labor, and also H, fire hydrant replacement parts.
So there are 4 estimates. The first 2 are for labor. The first one's from Goebel. The second one is from LandLogic. The lowest bidder was Goebel. The next 2 estimates begin on page 54, and the low bid on the parts was Ferguson. Do you want to talk about the hydrant, where it is?
Yeah,
Yep.
Fifth and Hickory,
Just needs, it's old.
1937.
It's old. Needs to go.
I'll make a motion that we accept the low bids for both the labor and parts for the fire hydrant replacement.
Have a second?
Second.
Any questions, discussion? When will you do this job, by the way?
We get,
Oh, you will try and get it in yet, huh?
yep.
Okay.
Hopefully next
So,
week.
Mark, I had a question. Are you rebuilding this, Doyle?
Sorry?
Are you rebuilding this hydrant, or are you replacing it all new?
Replacing the whole thing.
Okay.
Do you guys rebuild any?
The possibility, you can do it, yes, it costs,
But that's pretty old.
I know Cromwell did one that went awry horribly, so.
you can do it, yes, but in the long run, we have no gate valves on any of our hydrants. So at the same token, we add them as we're doing this. This is by far the way to do it, hands down. A little bit more money, but in the long run, way better product.
Sure. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6I, AEOA Arrowhead Transit Contract.
This is coming back up again this year. We pay the entirety of it now. This is for 2018 now. Same price, same times, everything. You let me know where you want to head.
I'll make a motion, we approve it. I think we need to have this for our community. We want to depend on it, and I will make a motion that we accept the 2018 contract.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Questions, discussion?
Just like to see more advertised. I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
Thank you. So this is, what, $11,000 now a year for this transportation? And I was just wondering, is there another way?
No, it's 6,000.
6,000 a year?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
500 a month.
Okay.
But either way, it's still a lot of money.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Now he's looking into another way to make it even more convenient, let's say, for people for the same price. I don't know, just something.
and you might be right as well. I don't know if you know the answer. Who advertises for this?
Well, we did when A1 was co-sponsoring it, but now it's just up to and the chamber.
Is it on our website?
Our website,
I mean, ours, yeah, I think perhaps maybe that's something that we could do a better job of, is at least getting the word out there that this even exists.
Before, we used to get a report, how much was it used, and is it feasible to, we don't.
That might have
get any
come
report.
from,
That was come from the group.
I think that might have come from
Says
came from,
AWIN,
we got our figures from Arrowhead Transit.
yeah.
okay.
We could ask for that data.
Because there's other, systems out there that maybe could make it more personal, and so people don't have to wait, around, and
I just think as we continue to grow and expand the city and, we have things out by the freeway all the way, we have to be able to provide, with a lot of elderly and
absolutely, yeah.
hospital and clinics and pharmacies,
Well, since it's an agenda item, we do have a motion and a second, but it doesn't mean we can't look into what you're saying, Mike, for this next year, and see if anything is out there and budget for it.
And see what they say, if they're,
Right.
usually they go and, it's 3 hours to wherever this place, we'll come back and pick you up, and maybe we could make something less money, more efficient, I don't know, maybe not. Maybe this is the best way to go.
You're retired, aren't you?
Yeah.
We do have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. 6K Arbor Day proclamation,
No, Jay.
excuse me, 7th Street lift station pump replacement.
Page 61 is not an estimate, it's just a placeholder. So we budgeted in the sewer fund for $15,000 to replace the pumps at the bridge lift station. Grinder, whatever. The bill for it was $3,653. So there's a remainder in the capital outlay of $11,346.50. Now, this was what was listed as the needed, the project for 2017 that Bolton and Mink had put together, our capital project list. This was the one that we were going to do in 2017. In 2018, there are 3 listed that there's 3 and we only budgeted for 2. So there are 3 lift stations replacing the grinder blades or the pumps? Just the pumps. Just the pumps in 2018. We do not have enough money to just jump the capital outlay all in one year to go from 1 to 3. So when Phil and I first sat down and looked at the budget, we were going to do 2 next year, and there was really nothing scheduled for 2019, so we were just going to slide that 3rd one into 2019. Now that adds 2 more years on the pumps and the grinder blades. So this is kind of how we got to this. The 3rd project that we did not include in 2018 was replacing both of the pumps at the 7th Street lift station. Now, we got a quote to do this, and it's $13,720. So it goes about $2,400 over our budget. However, this is a project on the list that we need to get done. It's a way to get it done 2 years earlier, and spend $2,400 over our budget. I think that this is well worth going over that line item. We're not gonna, we talked around and round and round about trying to come up with another project that was $10,000, $11,000, and frankly, we just couldn't find one.
Fire hydrant.
That's sewer fund, water fund.
Okay. Shoot.
Well, and I don't see searching for a project when we have a project that needs to be done and can pretty much be done on, budget, just a little overage. So I would support them.
You looking for a motion?
I am.
Make a motion that we do the 7th Street lift station pump replacement for $13,720.
I'll second it.
Any further questions, discussion?
I think it's smart, if we have an emergency breakdown there, we're going to be paying a lot more, so this is good.
Just one question, when will you be doing this?
December,
December.
probably the first week of December.
Any problems that when you do that, how long is the water shut off?
It's not,
None? You have to worry about it?
nobody's out of service for nothing.
Okay.
Nobody even knows anything happened. except
Great,
us.
great. All right.
I just had one question, we're replacing both of them. Are we working on getting all these pump stations at the same voltage? Let's say, so if we can hook up a generator to them or something, we just have
doing
one?
that, and I think we're going to start spending a lot more money than just what we have here. Because
This-
now we're going to be redoing panels and all sorts of controls and stuff.
Okay.
Our SCADA system is set up on all of them except two. We're just going to leave that one alone. Never mind,
For now.
for now.
SCADA is in that station already.
Is it? Okay.
Okay.
Good idea.
All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Oppose? Motion carried. Now, 6K Arbor Day proclamation. We have that on page 63, a proclamation.
I have a question.
Yes.
April 28th of 2017, is this from last year?
Yep.
Yeah.
You have to do one per year. This is our one per year. And we did it on April 28th, 2017. We do proclaim.
I'll make a motion, we proclaim Arbor Day. As
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. Thank you. 6L, resolutions, Yeah, it is L. Resolution 17-11-01, para inclusion.
This resolution is just required to include police officers in para. The police and fire plan of para.
Is this an annual thing?
No, this is our new part-time officer,
Okay.
and we never passed the para inclusion. So you need a special inclusion, not a special one, just you need to pass a resolution to be included in the police and fire, because it's at a different rate than just regular para is. So this is just including our new part-time officer in the correct section of para.
Gotcha.
Resolution 17-11-01.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Oppose? Motion carried. 6M, Truth and Taxation, public hearing, December 13th, 2017.
Just wanted to point out that the Truth and Taxation public hearing will be held December 13th at our regular scheduled meeting. This is where we set our final levy. We'll also be talking about water and sewer and the DMV and the liquor store and all those funds as well, all of our debt service funds. So if anybody has any questions or comments about our budget, I urge them to come December 13th, 2017.
So we'll probably have that the first
Yeah,
half hour.
yeah, it'll be right away at 6:30.
That'll be a long meeting.
Why don't we have it at 6 and start the regular meeting at 6:30?
That's a good idea, Mayor.
I think that we put on the resolution when we passed it in September that it was going to be at 6:30, and that gets mailed out to all of the residents. We can,
Good answer.
well,
We don't need to know anymore. We're not going to change all that now. Thank you.
Well, we could still have the hearing at 6:30, but we could get some of our business done at 6.
we can, I think that in order to do that, we need to state that we're having a special meeting if we're changing the time, which we can. We can set a special hearing, but
I think they'll work 6:30.
I work till 6.
I don't know that it's going to go all that long.
Very good, thank you. Thanks for your input, Councillor Peterson.
You're welcome.
I think
Mayor Shaw.
that is something that we could probably look at for next year that would be wise.
Right. Moving on to number 7, reports and correspondence. Do you have anything?
No.
Moving to 8, committee and board meeting minutes. We have the Park and Recreation meeting minutes for November 6th, 2017. That's on page 65. Any questions from the council on the minutes?
Well, as far as the arena goes, that Guile is happy that things are moving, and things are working well,
Yeah,
and we're keeping
So far.
Guile's happy,
yeah.
almost.
It's going to get busy there now. All the teams will start soon, the young kids and stuff. Moving on to announcements. Regular Moose Lake City Council meeting, Wednesday, December 13th at 6:30 right here. Moose Lake Water and Light Commission regular meeting Wednesday, November 15th at 4 p.m., the Moose Lake Conference Room. Moose Lake Housing and Redevelopment Authority Board, November 13th at 11 a.m., Hillside Manor Office. Moose Lake Area Fire District, Tuesday, actually, the next one is next week.
November 14th, yes. And December 5th is not correct either, it's 12th.
I knew that, too.
The second Tuesday, yeah.
Moose Lake Area Fire District, Tuesday, November 14th, 6:30 p.m. at the Emergency Response Center, and December 12th at the Emergency Response Center. Moose Lake Park Board meeting Monday, December 4th, 6:30 p.m. Right here. Library Board meeting November 13th at 1:45 p.m. the City Conference Room. Moose Lake Technology Committee Thursday, December 7th at 9 a.m. in the conference room. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
So who's got
Very good.
one?
From the bottle of some $2 wine, run barefoot through the mud. Never had the right kiss, stolen